Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Claire, this is the Farmyard Garden. I've had a lovely week so far. It started great with the weekend on Sunday because we were at RHS Malvern Spring Show. Got to meet up with loads of other YouTubers there, so that was absolutely lovely. I think Amir from Amir's Allotment probably won best dressed because that shirt you were wearing, Amir, was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Kerry, for the cinnamon buns that you cooked. Just loved it, absolutely loved it. Did bring a few things home, which I'll show you in later videos because I haven't done anything with them yet, but no plants. Didn't buy a single plant while I was there. In my last video, I promised that we'd do a plot tour this time. I have planted quite a bit out probably since I last did a full tour because I don't film everything that I do on the garden. I just film little snippets of it for you. Saying that, not a lot of what I've planted out has been vegetables. I had absolutely no idea that I would grow so many flowers on a vegetable garden, but here we are. So let's get into it. I thought we'd start at this end of the plot with the onion bed. Now, I'm not going to take the cover off of this bed to show you because obviously I am concerned about allium leaf miner. I'll bring you in for a closer look to see what you can see through the cover. This half of the bed are the autumn planted onion sets and they're the spring planted ones. So obviously these are going to be ready hopefully a few months before those ones. And then this bed here has my garlic and shallots in. Now the garlic is quite big and it's quite chunky on the stems. No sign of any scapes for me yet. Everyone said you harvest these on the longest day of the year, but I don't suppose they're going to be ready that soon. But we shall see. If I come back towards these two beds here, what I've planted recently have been the nasturtiums, and I have some zinnias, gladioli and cosmos in this side. These nasturtiums are the mounding type. They're not going to trail everywhere. They just go into a nice little ball, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing what they come out like. Over the archway I'm going to have the Scarlet Emperor runner beans because I thought the nice red flowers there would be a highlight as well. All I have planted in this bed are my swede and sweet fennel. There's nothing under these cloches, they're just being stored there out of the way because they were covering the swede initially. And then in this bed, all I have at the top here are the beetroot. I have the golden burpees and the bolt hardy. I haven't yet direct sown any more beetroot into this side. I thought I'd let them grow a little bit bigger first, but that's something I'll do in the next couple of weeks. Nothing as yet planted here, but I'm going to be having probably some dwarf French beans in here. In this next bed, I have my broad beans that were sown before Christmas. This is aquadulce, and they are just starting to throw out some pods, so that's really exciting. It seems like they've been in a long time. I thought that they might have cropped earlier than this, but I'm really excited for these. One thing I didn't realise was just how important early flowering crops like the broad beans would be for our bees. It's been so lovely to come across and just sit and watch the bees, really enjoying the flowers on these beans. I have allocated nothing yet to the rest of this bed, which is probably quite a good idea to have some spare space because we're always going to run out of room, always going to forget to have planted something out, so we'll see what ends up in here the rest of the year. This bed is the infamous pea frame bed. The peas are growing up here okay and they are starting to flower. Had a little bit of dying off on the lower leaves, but they were like that when I planted them out, and I think that was probably down to the weather. They got a little bit hot and dry, probably running out of nutrients as well in the greenhouse before I planted them out. Then this is a structure that has been on the plot for a while, but I've put the netting up and I've finally planted out my alderman peas. Now I probably shouldn't ignore the little chap next to me. I have two of these scarecrows now on the plot. These were birthday presents last year from my son and daughter-in-law and the granddaughters. I've got some more peas to sow, which will probably fill in this space later on in the season. I think I have Hurst green shaft, and I have the Wave Rex Petit Pois to go somewhere. And obviously these are going to finish and hopefully I'll succession sow those. Fingers crossed. We'll move on to the next bed. This bed, you've already seen me plant the celeriac out. It was really quite yellow and pot bound when I planted it out, if you remember. and actually the new shoots are coming in lovely green colour, so it's obviously quite happy to have been out here. I've also planted the mounted nasturtiums here as well, the same varieties that are around the archway. One is a hot pink colour called Baby Rose, I believe, and then this one is Bloody Mary, and I really liked the look of this one. It has cream flowers with red sort of veining on them, but as the flower matures, the whole flower becomes fully red, a deep red, and I thought that looked quite nice to have the different stages of the flowering head in there. But yeah, they should only sort of grow like this. You can grow them in patio containers, so they shouldn't trail and take over everywhere. The other end of the bed I have cosmos. I can't remember whether it's cupcake or dwarf cosmos, so that's going to be a surprise. More gladioli, and then I have planted some nasturtiums that side of the archway. They are a proper climbing variety called Milkmaid that have cream flowers on, so they're going to go up over the archway. Really pleased with these. You saw me plant these sweet peas not so long ago, and these are really starting to take hold to go up the archway. I need to put some more string up to contain them shortly, but they're really thick, strong stems. I've been really impressed with them, how quickly they've grown and changed since they've been put in the ground. Then the rest of this bed is being given over to French beans. Lots of dwarf French beans here. I have 2 or 3 different varieties, and then I have violet French beans, which are the climbing French beans, to go up here. Absolutely love French beans. How many times have I said French beans? We absolutely loved the French beans last year. I didn't get to save any to freeze for over winter to have in the off season. So the idea this year is I want to have quite a few of them, just to make sure that I have more than enough French beans to put some at least in the freezer to be enjoying them over winter, which is probably why I might end up with 2 beds full of these dwarf French beans, because I need a lot of them. We like them a lot. The beds both sides closest to the polytunnel are actually the ones which are giving me the most angst in decision making. In my head, I really want something that isn't going to be covered with enviromesh in these beds, so I don't have to look at that when I come out of the tunnel. I hate looking at the end beds where the onions are because of the enviromesh on the cloches. Just really dislike it. At the top end of this bed though, I have recently sown a row of mixed radishes and some little gem lettuces. They're just starting to germinate, so I have put something in there. I'm just not sure that I want to make it a complete lettuce bed. So if you can come up for suggestions on what you'd plant that looks pretty to walk out of the polytunnel to, I'd love for you to drop those in the comments below. As I make my way down towards the fruit cage, you can see that those patio planting trees are doing okay. They're all in leaf, no blossom on them, so I'm not sure they're going to do anything like that this year, but that is not a surprise. They are very, very young. I'm just happy that they're alive, to be honest. Moving on from those planters under what will be the pumpkin archway, I have sown the baby boo, the Jack Be Little and the kuchikuri to go over this archway. They've come up now, so that's looking great. We come to what are the 2 main pumpkin beds, and here you will see my other friend. The top of these beds are obviously having the climbing pumpkins. I have sown loads of other pumpkins that I need to really work out just how big they're going to get to know whether I can trail any off of here or whether I need to plant them somewhere else, because again, I could just put courgettes in here if I really wanted to. Underneath Mr. Scarecrow, we have more cosmos, definitely some dwarf and the taller cupcake variety, and some more calendula. Trying to sort of get the pollinators to come all the way through the plot. The bottom half of this side of the bed though is where I have put some outdoor tomatoes. They're all blight resistance varieties. I have Divinity, Rose Crush and Crimson Crush. I've also put a little bit of calendula again at the bottom of this bed, and there are some spare basil in here. It's too cold for them clearly outside this time of year in Staffordshire. It might never be warm enough outdoors for basil actually, but they really were just spares, so it was an experiment to put them around the tomatoes to see how they do. They're hanging in there, but they're not looking very happy. Now I have chosen to plant the tomatoes here at this part of the plot because it's not in the direct sort of breeze line towards the polytunnel, so if these do become affected by blight, I'm hoping that it'll be minimal risk as far as possible to the ones that are growing in the polytunnel. Now I forgot to show you what's in the top half of these beds, which is why there's no summer squashes going up here. Dahlias. I had absolutely no idea that I'd be growing dahlias this year when I set this plot up last year. My plan for this edge of these beds was actually going to be where the courgettes were going to grow, but no, instead we're having dahlias there. Again, I do think that might be Kerry's fault from Dog on the Plot, because she kept showing me all of her dahlias last year and, well, couldn't resist them. I'm not sure how many of you are even interested in dahlias, but there are different varieties here. Clare Obscure, Happy Butterfly, Tartan, Chimicum Davy, that was the other one. I knew there was another one, I couldn't think what it was called. So I've got those each side of the archway. What's really exciting is this variety called Clare Obscure has her first couple of flower buds forming. Unlike me, this Clare is clearly an overachiever. I'm not. Sun's just come out while I walk under the archway yet again. How many times in one video can you walk through the same archway? Anyway, we'll come to the two beds below the pumpkin beds. Asparagus bed. Exciting bed. I do need to build a better structure to support the asparaguses. These tree ties are not cutting it, but they were only temporary. Now I have to admit that these aren't the ones that I planted back in autumn. The top four completely rotted off. I did have a good look at the crowns and they were just completely mushed. So I bought some new ones from our local garden centre. These were really cheap. They were only £3 or £3.99 I think it was for 2-year-old crowns. As the wind is just blowing across them now, you can see why I need to build a structure to support them. So that is high on the to-do list. However, these baby asparagus are the ones that I planted last year that have done okay. Can you see that? They're like little and large, aren't they? I'm really happy that they came up though. It wasn't a complete and utter failure. This bed next to the asparagus, I don't know why, I just absolutely love this bed and I'm quite excited by what is growing in here. So at the back I have the dwarf, the official truly dwarf artichokes. They will only grow again to about 65 centimetres tall. They're not supposed to be quite so prolific and invasive as the full-size variety, so we'll see how that works out. But they are contained in this bit of a raised bed, so fingers crossed. If I see artichokes popping up in the asparagus bed, then I know they lied. Again, in the centre of the bed, each side of the wind spinner that's hopefully keeping the birdies away, I have some nasturtiums, the mounding ones again. Yeah, I sowed the whole packet, so they've had to go everywhere. And then at the front of the bed, I have the really exciting crop to grow, which is ochre, something I'd not even heard of this time last year, and I've never ever seen it in the shops. So to be growing ochre in my own plot, in my garden, is absolutely amazing. I'm really excited about those. You saw me plant them in pots in the greenhouse not long ago, but the weather was so nice last week, I very quickly got them transplanted outside, and I'm really happy with how they're looking. Moving along to the final bed down here. This is probably the bed that needs sorting out next. It's the Brassica bed. There are a few Brussels in there and a few purple sprouting summer broccoli, but I really need to get on and get my Brassica structure sorted, which will probably be in the next video, and get all the rest of the Brassicas out because they are languishing at the moment in the polytunnel. I'll just quickly show you that the fruit trees are doing all right on this section of the plot as well. That's an apple, pear. That is definitely a Victoria plum. And then my little birdhouse station. And while we're on the subject of fruit trees, I'm very excited to say that the fig has finally burst into life. I honestly thought it died. I nearly dug it up a couple of weeks ago. But this last few days, we have life. It's so lovely to see everything greening up now. And I guess where I need to take you now is inside the fruit cage. And there's some good and bad things happening in here. I'll start with the good. Cherry tree, it's been in blossom, starting to set a few little bits of fruit. Looks absolutely amazing. I've been in here and done a bit of weeding this morning. But look at that in the corner. I'm really pleased with that. If I move a bit closer and it focuses, you can see that there are a few gooseberries appearing. The currant bushes are doing equally as well, and you can see best from this red one that they are getting little bunches of currants on them, so I'm really excited about that. It's like, I made that happen. I probably didn't. The soil made that happen, but I'm going to take it as a win. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for the raspberry canes. Now, I don't think I'm going to blame where I bought them from because I did get them in late autumn as bare roots. We had a very wet winter. We had a few nights of really cold temperatures, but I feel like there might be something else going on, and I'd absolutely love your help on this one because I am at an absolute loss. Only 2 of these raspberry canes showed any signs of life early in spring. They looked really nice and healthy early spring. We haven't had a frost since they came out, but they're dying back, and there's only that one and this one on the end here which is doing exactly the same thing. Yeah, not quite sure what to do with this bed because the grapevine is quite happy. There's only a couple of shoots coming and they're all very, very low down. It was definitely dead higher up, so that did get pruned off, but at least it is alive. The final side bed in the fruit cage are my blueberry bushes. So this bed is full of ericaceous soil. Not sure exactly how good a crop I'm going to get off of them because I think they need to be in sort of groups to have best pollination for prolific fruiting. The centre one does seem to be doing quite well though, which is a single variety on its own of a blue blueberry variety. The two on the outside are pink lemonade, but they haven't helped each other at the moment because the pink lemonade ones are yet to blossom. So I'm wondering if they won't blossom this year actually. But there seems to be fruit now being set on that centre one, so there should still be blueberries, and Duncan loves blueberries. He has them every morning on his breakfast. I don't like them on breakfast, but I absolutely do love blueberry muffins, so they're going to be a hit on my list as well. And finally, we have in the centre of the fruit cage, the strawberry bed. And wow, I'm so excited. So many flowers coming on them. I need to get it mulched. I'm going to buy some strulch for that. It is designed to be put around your plants, unlike horse bedding or the straw that we buy on the farm, which I'm not sure if it contains any chemicals. So I'm just going to go with strulch because it's safer. But we're definitely going to be having strawberries soon because, oh, there's so many strawberries coming. Just cannot wait. Absolutely thrilled. In case you hadn't guessed, I love strawberries. This side of the tunnel, just as it starts raining, we have the parsnip and carrot boxes. Now, 4 rows of parsnips here, all different varieties: Gladiator, Tender and True, Victor and White Gem, that's the last one. Carrot varieties that I sowed first, we have Nance, Purple King, Rainbow Mix and 2 rows of Red Sun. Yesterday I added another row, which is the red cord Chantenay carrots here. In this other carrot box I have some Bellicium, Afron, Autumn King and some more red cord Chanteray. The last box here just has Amsterdam forcing. There's 4 rows in there, which leaves me space to multi-sow some spring onions in there for a bit of companion planting. That should help with the carrot root fly, as well as the cloche covers that I'm going to buy to put over them. I did make a wooden box one, but I haven't used it because I've sown the carrots too close to the edges of the box before I remember to put the box on. So I can't use that now. I don't want to waste my carrots. Before I head into the polytunnel, I'd love to just take a moment to appreciate these alliums. They are absolutely glorious, teeming with insect, bees, wasps, you name it, they're absolutely loving them. So now the final destination is the polytunnel. Now you only saw it last week because obviously I planted the tomatoes out, but they've grown already and I'm really surprised, let's just say. I'll show you. Look at them. Look how well they're all doing. I only planted them 5 days ago, so the complete novelty of opening the doors and seeing the summer planting layout is not lost on me yet. I'm finding it a wow factor, so I'm hoping that you're loving it too. Got more companion plants to put in. The local agricultural merchant has been turning themselves into a bit of a garden centre over summer and really, really cheap prices. So I've been going there, picking up lots of things. Duncan is furious with me for how much money I keep spending. So yeah, more to go in here yet. We went last night, but I haven't planted anything out. So, so excited. I've recently sown my climbing beans. These are dwarf French beans that are just coming up here. These are my sister's spare tomatoes. Now, I don't need them either, but I'm hoping to offer them to people in the local village when they've just grown on a little bit more, just giving us a chance to see whether any of ours die and we need the spares first, really. So that's those there. I have sown some pumpkins. These are my pumpkin seedlings coming up. These ones are polar bear. These big seedlings here. These big ones here are Crown Prince. This tray here has some Scarlet Emperor runner beans for the archway that I've already shown you, and some Greek Gigantes. Don't really want many of those because I think they are quite prolific croppers, but I do have some more beans that I could sow if I need a few more. This tray here is the Belotti beans that'll be going on a archway in the main garden that you've seen me put up before. Waver XP's just starting to germinate. Sweet corn looking a little bit yellow because it was overwatered. There was quite a bit of water in the tray that I hadn't noticed, so I've tipped that out today and hopefully they'll green up shortly, but they need to get out soon. Just need to get a little bit bigger yet. But I think the variety that I'm growing was called Incredible F1, but I just put sweet corn on the label because I'm only growing the one variety. I wasn't that concerned, but I think it was Incredible F1. As already mentioned, these are all the Brassicas languishing, wanting to get out. We have calabash cabbage here, Brussels sprouts, snowball collies, kaleets at the back here looking okay, and then I've got 2 trays of the tender stem broccoli, part of the Grow Along with Eli. These are my baby pumpkins, Jack Belittle and Baby Boo here. Now I've only just noticed that only one of the achikikuri have come up, so I need to get some more seeds to plant some more of those. I've got some leeks here. These ones are called Northern Lights, which is quite exciting and ironically apt considering we saw the Northern Lights for the first time ever across the farm last week. I'll just insert a couple of pictures for you so that you can see those. Musselburgh leeks coming here now. Moving to the end of the shelf, these are the red little gem lettuces that I saw in the local garden centre. Now I have bought some seeds since then. I believe it's called amaze. So I have sown some amaze seeds to see what that does. But given some of the green lettuces have been lost to slugs or something outside, but the reds have survived, and I love little gems anyway, I'm hoping that these might be the answer. So I'm really pleased with those. They need to be planted out again. I love them so much that I'm frightened of putting them outside, so they may actually go in a veg trug in the back garden so I can keep a close eye on those. And then the final thing that needs to get out on this shelf are the curly red kale. And there we go, finally, to show you Luther. The Luther is doing well in here. Leaving the plot behind us now, we will make our way to the main gardens, the main mess. It's all getting a little bit overwhelming on this garden because I'm spending so much time out on the plot that the weeds and things are taking over in here. So it's not looking its best, but I will show you what's going on so far. All of my potatoes are now sown. So these are the main crop, Sarpo miras in these buckets. And this is my little herb bed. Just behind the herb bed is the structure for the climbing beans. You just heard me mentioning that I've got Belotti and Greek Gigantes to go up here. So it's ready when they are. And then you may remember, if you've been following me for a while, that I have an experiment going where I've planted some potatoes in grass cuttings. Have they done anything? The answer to that is yes. As you can see, the bed is doing okay, so I'm really quite pleased with those. It is time to sort of cover them up another layer, but what I think I'm going to do is use hay, because since I've filmed this, I have actually had a horse become poorly, and we now have to buy hay in for that horse. So I do have some dry hay that I could layer on top, which may help if we get sort of the hot, wet summer that we keep looking like we're going to have. Then I don't want it to get all sludgy under there. So a little bit of hay to dry it out for a layer or so may be on the cards. As promised, I have made the front of this big bed into a bit of a flower bed. So at the back there are zinnias, then there's 2 different types of antirrhinums. There's a cardoon in the middle. I know they get quite big. Might have to rethink that one next year. And then the little teepee that I need to put some string around. So hopefully if they get tied in, they will do okay. And then look at this. It's only tiny, but lupin about to flower. Outside the back of the house, we have our potato tubs. Those 3 there are the pink fir apple, which need earthing up shortly, but they are the first and second earlies at the back. These 2 tubs are the Ulster Spectres that were done on St. Patrick's Day, so they're not going to be too far off being ready, are they, in the next month? If I just come around the corner from the potato tubs, you'll see the flower bed that you saw me plant some shrubs and things out in recently. And the foxgloves that I planted are just starting to put on a bit of a show for us. Look at them. So pretty. And then to finish off, I will just head to the greenhouses with you. I'll go to the chilli and pepper greenhouse first. There's a lot of greenery in here. There's also a lot of peppers forming. This is Black Knight. Then Buena Malata is putting on quite a few chilies already. These are my Sugar Rush Long Peach. These are supposed to be King of the North, which I thought was a bell pepper shape, but maybe not, I can't remember. But anyway, King of the North, it says on the label. Toro Rosso, a red sweet pepper. So yeah, they're all doing Okay, lots of fruit starting to be set. Down at ground level here we have the Cape gooseberries, which seem to be turning into a bit of a jungle. As you can see, they are also setting fruit. Really pleased about them. Obviously moving next door into the main greenhouse, this is decidedly more empty than it was last time you saw in here. Mainly got the cucurbits growing, so I have the butterbushes here, another butterbush here, and then I think these are the patty pans. Yep, the custard white patty pans. Don't know why I thought I'd need 3 or 4 of those, so I'll definitely be giving some of those away. Spare tomatoes here, a couple of dahlias, more sunflowers. These aren't big varieties, these are babyface. So I'll look forward to planting them out shortly. These trays are my cucumbers. They've all come up, doing quite well. But the thing that I'm most excited about in this greenhouse are these. And these trays are my straw flowers. Now, if you remember, it's not many weeks ago that I was complaining that they were doing absolutely nothing and they'd completely stalled. Well, it seems they did just need a bit of warmer weather, because look at them now, they're taking off. I don't know whether to plant them out yet, whether to pot them on into some bigger pots and leave them in for another few weeks, but absolutely over the moon that these have started to do something, and hopefully that means I'm gonna get straw flowers this year. Can't wait. I've really enjoyed doing this May plot tour. It's reminded me of just how much I have done in the garden. If you'd like to see the April plot tour, that video is here. And if you'd like to see how we got the polytunnel ready for the tomatoes, you can watch this video here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Look after yourselves. Bye.